We now have more details about why the FBI and DOJ, fueled by IRS and CIA intel, raided the home of former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Steve Bannon says it's time to MAGA up and go hard on picking up even more seats in Congress, giving Trump the supermajority he needs to finish out his final 2 years. Epstein's assistant, Ghislaine Maxwell, gives some of the most important insight on Jeffrey Epstein yet, and it's got one family in the crosshairs of the DOJ, and it's not the Trump family. Also, CNN shares interesting new data on Gavin Newsom that should have everyone in MAGA taking him seriously. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. Let's jump right in. Former top White House consultant Steve Bannon congratulates Texas for having the courage to go get 5 more seats for the GOP in the House of Representatives. This wipes out Jasmine Crockett and Al Sharp, who tried to impeach President Trump. But Steve Bannon, who has said he might run for president in 2028, now says it's time to go big or go hard. So he's encouraging Trump and the GOP to do a blitzkrieg-like attack and go after the 20 seats that the GOP could easily pick up. That's not even seats from the upcoming election. So let me go ahead and share this with you because it's very, very interesting. Here we go.
When I talk about a maximalist strategy, I mean in every aspect. We have to understand this gets to the recess and the recess appointments. We are burning daylight. We only have so much time, and we're against the concentration of industrial power, the concentration of financial power, the concentration of technological power, right? To try to sort this mess out and get this country back on its footing of being America first. That means, like on this redistricting, which is audience, you drove the victory in Texas when nobody would talk about it, and Abbott didn't want to do it, and Patrick didn't want to do it, and Speaker Burrow didn't want to do it. And I totally respect. I know we follow the president's true socials on this one. He's trying to be, magnanimous to down in Texas, but his true social on Burrow, right, is not the perspective of the war room. That guy is a sad sack and didn't want to do anything. And no Democrats have really been punished down there. Or they're talking about some $9,000 penalty. We have to have a maximalist strategy everywhere. What do I mean by that? Well, there's the redistricting wars. If we're going to get to 100 seats, let's get on with it. Let's get to 100 seats. We've gotten 5 right now. There's another 5 in Texas, another 10 around the country. That gets us 20. Let's go for it. I want all 20. And I want to defeat Newsom in California. We got to get on that because the 2028 race has started and Newsom's running for president. And by the way, if he wins in November, he's going to be the Democratic candidate. Write that down. It's not going to be Pritzker. You saw what Pritzker did with his redistricting for the 2 weeks. It's a sad sack. Not going to happen. I don't care if he's got $5 billion put into it. None of those governors. It's going to be Newsom. So just get that reality, focus on it, and let's defeat this guy. Also, across the board in policies, this is why it's happening in Washington, D.C., is a template for the rest of the nation. Boom. Let's do it in Los Angeles. Let's do it in Chicago. Let's do it in New York.
All right. So he's saying, do not underestimate the Democrat Party. Yeah, they've got terrible candidates, but they still have the media. They still have Hollywood. They still have a lot of money that is willing to come in with the right candidate. And he sees that being Gavin Newsom of California. Yeah, he's a slime ball. He's a slick talker. But right now, they're desperate. They'll take anybody. And he's got a full head of hair, full set of teeth. They're ready to go. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, because Steve Bannon is incredibly aggressive. He was one of Trump's best cabinet picks in the first go-round. And he's saying it's time to go hard in the paint. Put up or shut up. Let's go right now. Go get those 20 seats, and then let's focus on picking up another 100 seats by cleaning up Chicago, cleaning up Los Angeles, getting the illegal immigrants out. Let me know what you guys think about that. Also, what do you think about him running for president? I know many are saying J.D. Vance is the heir apparent, but right now he hasn't said whether he's going to do anything. All right, speaking of Steve Bannon, We are learning more and more about why John Bolton, the former national security advisor, had his Maryland home raided yesterday at 7 a.m. It's come out that Mr. Bolton has a very high net worth, despite not having high income jobs for long periods of time. There is also allegedly discrepancy with his tax returns and his overseas income, with the majority being overseas. Some are saying this could be connected to selling U.S. intel overseas. Let's go ahead and listen to what was said on Steve Bannon. We're learning that some of this is coming from the IRS and some of this is coming from the CIA.
I actually have an exclusive report on all of this that I haven't even posted on Twitter yet. Came in just as I was coming in to get ready for the hit here. So this is what I'm getting. This is going to be a War Room exclusive here from Human Events. That CIA director, John Ratcliffe, provided Kash Patel access to U.S. intelligence that served as the basis for the warrant to raid Bolton's house. So this is basically what we were thinking about, and this is an individual familiar is telling me this. They're saying Bolton disingenuously attacked Trump for mishandling classified information. It will go down as one of the most audacious and ironic acts of malice in political history. Bolton should have been throwing stones in his now raided glass house. And this was something, I think, Steve, you and I talked about it when John Bolton's book came out, that he was known for these yellow legal pads, that he would take notes during every single meeting that was going on when he was the national security advisor. And there were a lot of questions as to what exactly was the handling of those notes. Did those yellow legal pads make it home to him? And because there was a lot of information that was in there that also ended up in his book, which was publicized, and by the way, part of which was leaked to the New York Times. Even went back to my own reporting on this, part of which was leaked to the New York Times before it even came out in publication. So there's a lot of questions about who leaked it in the first place. Was it leaked during that period where they're supposed to be scrubbing it for classified? And these yellow legal pads, what information did he take? Because classified information, here's a great example. So even if you don't have documents, if the information that you have written down on your documents is classified and you take your document home, that's still taking classified information out of a classified area. That's still taking it out of the SCIF. So if you're in a position like the Oval, if you're in the Situation Room, et cetera, you can't just take that home. And in fact, the information in your mind is still also classified. That's why you have a lifetime NDA. That's just the nature of classified information. So I know there's a lot of people who focus on documents. I'm certain I'm sure there's going to be documents that we're talking about here, but this is very clear. It's information that is classified, not a piece of paper.
All right. So it's what he was sharing. Now, I've had generals on my show. I've had retired colonels. I've had CIA spies. Every one of them, while I talk to them off camera, has said to me, I can't tell you this full story because it's still classified. So that intel that they carry in their brain, they're still not allowed to share that. So what John Ratcliffe, the head of the CIA, shared with the FBI and the DOJ is the intel that he's gathering from foreign sources. And that's where they're saying, wait a minute, maybe this guy has been making a living selling intel. Why are his taxes not lining up? So I wanted to definitely share that information with my community. All right. This is really big. Earlier this week, AG Pam Bondi and her deputy, Todd Blanche, at the Department of Justice released the transcripts of the Ghislaine Maxwell deposition. Maxwell said Trump was in no way connected to Jeffrey Epstein's businesses, crimes, or private massages. She never saw him do anything untoward or illegal. We already knew this, but it's nice to have it confirmed from the front row witness. But this front row witness also confirmed something that Jeffrey Epstein privately told people regularly. He often claimed that he was the mastermind behind the Clinton Foundation pay-to-play charity scheme. Well, now Ghislaine Maxwell is telling the DOJ, yes, the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein put together the Clinton Foundation, and they figured out how to do money laundering. They figured out how to use Bill and Hillary's influence as government employees to their advantage. All of this, hundreds of millions of dollars pouring in. Then suddenly, any investigation into Hillary and Bill and the Clinton Foundation gets shut down by Obama and his people, Sally Yates. I find it to be very, very, very interesting, everything going on. Now, this is Mike Benz, former cybersecurity. He said, we now have both Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer directly telling the Justice of Department that they helped set up the Clinton Global Initiative. So Ghislaine Maxwell, I was part of the beginning process of the Clinton Global Initiative. And that was something that I helped with. And that was me, and Epstein may have helped me help them. So give money to the Clinton Global Initiative. So there's that. I think he did that. I believe the money that he may have been given could have been independent of me. I went to Davos with a former president. Billionaire sex offender Epstein once claimed he co-founded the Clinton Foundation. This is from 2016. Mr. Epstein was part of the original group that conceived the Clinton Global Initiative. So, wow. Everyone's been trying to put all of this information or all of these connections onto Donald J. Trump, when in reality, it sounds like it was the Clintons. Let's listen to Mike Benz talk to Natalie Winters.
Well, one thing that's fascinating is she point blank tells the Justice Department, quote, I was part of the beginning process of the Clinton Global Initiative. And then she goes on to say that she believes Jeffrey Epstein actually funded the Clinton Global Initiative and that they came up with the idea together while on a trip to Davos. Now, we know that this lines up with the exact start of the Clinton Foundation in 2002 was exactly when Jeffrey Epstein was flying President Clinton around personally as kind of aerial chauffeur around Africa. I think they went to 5 different countries in Africa together publicly. And this was actually part of the process that I think brought Jeffrey Epstein a little bit too close to the sun, was when he was personally flying President Clinton around while President Clinton was setting up the Clinton Foundation. And we know that what the Clinton Foundation was doing was essentially pay to play while Hillary Clinton was making her rise in New York Senate politics and then into the Secretary of State. And while they had all this clout and connections and pull within the Democrat Party, that they could essentially sell U.S. foreign policy to foreign donors and to big corporations so that they could essentially, instead of doing things in the national interest, have the State Department, the Defense Department, the CIA, USAID, essentially twist the governance and policies of foreign countries using the battering ram of the American diplomacy and war and trade machine in order to profit the people who personally paid the Clintons for those favors. And so this is totally in line with what I think is the most persuasive theory of the case on Epstein, which is that he was a money bundler. He helped in the structuring of these complex faux philanthropic influence machines. He was a deal maker, and it looks like he was part of the deal making that went into the origins of the Clinton Foundation, which we're now learning as well. The Justice Department shut down the FBI investigation into 3 different FBI investigations in the Clinton Foundation were shut down, and the IRS investigation was shut down, we're told now, because the IRS claimed they did not have enough resources to investigate the Clinton Foundation. Evidently, the fraud there was so massive, the IRS's defense to get out of political cronyism is that I guess the fraud was too big to jail.
Too big to jail, right? Wow. Okay, so the Democrats keep pointing Epstein, Trump, Epstein, Trump, Epstein, Trump, when in reality it was Epstein, Clinton, Epstein, Hillary Clinton. No wonder there was a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress. Jeffrey Epstein believed that he owned Bill Clinton, flew him like 28 times on his jet while in Davos for the World Economic Forum stuff. They come up with this way, this pay-to-play scheme to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars. Unbelievable. All right, really quickly, one of my original sponsors is Mr. 1920 soap. I use this soap every day. Sometimes I even take it on vacation because I love it. It smells so good. This smells like brown sugar and oatmeal in the morning. This one has like a wood kind of sweet smell to it, bourbon barrel. These are some of my favorites, as well as black soap and others. My wife loves the way that this feels on her face. I'm going to put a link down below. If you use code AMAZING, you can get 15% off. Go support them right now. They're a small business based in Texas. They are patriots. They love America. Go and support them right now. All right. Like me, you've likely noticed that Gavin Newsom is suddenly attacking Donald Trump every day, mocking Donald Trump every day, mocking MAGA, saying that California is the best, even though they have, they set the record on almost every negative thing. And California is a great place, but I don't know how people live there, to be honest. Well, that's because sources say he is gearing up to run for president in 2028. Even Steve Bannon just told us, you got to take this guy serious. He is getting ready to run for president of the United States. He's not the best, but he is their best option. And now CNN has put out data that confirms exactly what Steve Bannon has been saying. Let's go ahead and watch this together.
I absolutely think it's showing signs of working. And let's take a look at the voters who know Gavin Newsom best. Those voters out in California, those California Democrats. California Democrats and Newsom for governor. You go back to 2023, just 35% wanted him to run for president. Look at the percentage now who are excited for a run for president for Gavin Newsom. What is that? That's a 40-point climb. My goodness gracious, a rising tide of support for Gavin Newsom. Remember, back in 2023, the majority of Democrats did not want Joe Biden to run for another term, but California Democrats in Gavin Newsom's home state did not want him to run either. And now 75% are excited for him to run. And more than that, he's getting a higher percentage of the vote than Kamala Harris in her home state. He is beating the former vice president, who, of course, was the Democratic nominee in 2024. As I said, a rising tide of support for the California governor.
And we always say it's very early to be looking at 2028 polling. But why is California polling so important?
Why is it so important? Because I want you to take a look. It's one of those benchmarks, the home state polling for presidential candidates. If they can't win the primary in their home state, they ain't going to win anywhere. What are we talking about? President nominees and home state primaries. All of them won. All the nominees won. And all of them led in the early polls. So yes, winning California is not tantamount to winning the nomination, but it is one of those stepping stones that you have to make it to if you, in fact, want to win the nomination historically. And of course, in California, it has the most delegates out of any of the states that, of course, take part in the Democratic primary.
How are things looking nationally for Democrats?
Okay, so we're looking at the states, right? We're looking at Gavin Newsom's home state, but how about nationally? Does what we're seeing in California translate nationally? Chance of being the 2028 Democratic nominee, according to the prediction markets. Back on June 1st, before all this strategy, before all this confrontation with Donald Trump, you saw Gavin Newsom 11%, AOC at 10, Buttigieg at 8. Look at where Gavin Newsom has shot up to now, 27%. Now is the clear front runner, not a 50% plus, but still the clear front runner, at least according to the prediction markets. What we're seeing in California isn't staying in California, at least at this particular point.
All right. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about this? It doesn't mean that he's great, but he may be their greatest chance of beating Trump, MAGA, and JD Vance or Marco Rubio or Vivek Ramaswamy or whoever ends up running for 2028 for the GOP. He is making strides by mocking Donald Trump. he is making strides by showing a more alpha male side to himself. People were freaking out. You're telling me Jasmine Crockett is our best option? You're telling me Kamala Harris is our best option? The AOC is our best option? They're saying, no, we need somebody stronger. And with Gavin Newsom harassing, mocking, making fun of Donald Trump, he's risen 16 points. That's a big deal. Now, again, it's way too early, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. Now, the mainstream media, however, is saying it doesn't matter what these Democrats do, because it could just be he's becoming more popular among the more radical, vocal Democrats. But you don't win elections without independents, and you don't win elections without moderate Democrats, and you don't win elections without Black Americans. This is the Democrat Party. So they have to have the independents, they have to have a moderate, and they have to win the Black vote. This is one of the reasons they lost. Now, listen to what was said over on the mainstream media about the Democrats and the fact that they will likely goof this up again.
And Willie, you can see the Democrats are trying to find their footing, and it's quite embarrassing, actually. I mean, Gavin Newsom, I mean, have you seen what he's doing online? And it's like, just take a deep breath. Yeah. Don't try to turn the ship 180 degrees and one, they don't know what to do. I have a good idea. Instead of trying to make school Trump, talk into the camera about affordability. Talk about making groceries like more affordable. Talk about what you're going to do for housing. Talk about what you're going to do for energy prices that continue to go up. We heard the congressman yesterday talk about energy prices skyrocketing in New Jersey. You know, don't try, as I've been saying, Donald Trump's not on the ballot in 26. He's not on the ballot in 28. Why try to drag Muhammad Ali in the ring when you got Chuck Wepner standing right in front of you? And Wepner's a bleeder. He's a bleeder. You want him. So why are you going, I'm going after Donald? No, you're not. You're not running against Donald Trump. Go after Tweedledee or Tweedledum.
All right. Morning Joe. I don't like the guy, but he makes some really great points. Like, why are you going up against Muhammad Ali when he's not the one running in 2028? But did you hear what he said is the way to beat J.D. Vance? Talk about making things more affordable. Everything got more expensive under Biden, not under Trump. Talk about rising energy costs. California has the worst energy costs in America. New York, New Jersey, they're right behind that. You heard them right there on Morning Joe. Prices in New Jersey are skyrocketing. They don't know what to do. These Democrat strongholds are so expensive. So they're not going to get somebody that says, I'll make your life more affordable, when they go, you've been in power and you made my life less affordable. So they've got to change up their talking points, or else they are dead in the water. All right, let me know your thoughts on Steve Bannon calling for a full court press with MAGA issues. Let me know your thoughts on Gavin Newsom surging in the polls as he attacks Donald J. Trump. Also, was John Bolton trafficking intel to make himself rich across the pond over in Europe and other places? I don't know, but the CIA, the IRS, they gave the FBI and the DOJ enough information that a judge said, yeah, go knock on the door and bring in the information. All right, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.